Caught on camera, my wife's secret party betrayal. I always trusted Lisa, my wife of 8 years. She was the kind of woman who lit up every room she entered, her laughter infectious, her charm undeniable. So when she told me she was hosting a private party for a few friends, I didn't think much of it. I had to be out of town for work, and she insisted it was just a fun night with some old acquaintances. But something felt off. It was the way she hesitated when I asked who was coming, how she quickly changed the subject whenever I mentioned checking on her during the evening. Maybe I was just being paranoid, but I couldn't shake the unease creeping into my gut. That's when I decided to test my instincts. Without telling her, I installed a discreet security camera in our living room, hidden within the bookshelf. I told myself it was just for peace of mind, a harmless precaution. The night of the party, I texted Lisa around 9 p.m. She responded with a short, vague reply. Something about being too busy to talk. That alone wasn't strange, but when she stopped replying altogether, I knew I had to check the footage. I logged into camera feed from my phone and saw a room filled with people, music playing, drinks flowing. Everything seemed normal at first. Then, as the night progressed, things took a turn. Lisa, dressed in a revealing black dress I had never seen before, stood in the center of the room, laughing with a group of men. Not just one or two, 10. They surrounded her, their eyes filled with something I couldn't ignore. Then, one by one, they started unbuckling their belts, slipping off their pants. My heart pounded as I watched, disbelief tightening around my throat. Lisa didn't push them away. She didn't look uncomfortable. She smiled. No, she beamed, as if this was something she had been waiting for. I wanted to look away, to shut off the feed and pretend this wasn't happening. But I couldn't. I was frozen, forced to watch as my wife betrayed me in a way I never imagined. The camera caught everything. Every laugh, every touch, every whispered word. When the party ended and the men began dressing again, Lisa picked up her phone. I watched in horror as she typed something. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Her message read, "Miss you, baby. Can't wait for you to come home." I clenched my fists, my entire body trembling. She had no idea that her little party had been recorded, but she would soon, because I wasn't coming home the way she expected. I was coming home with the footage, and I was bringing a lawyer with me. The aftermath, unmasking the betrayal. I barely slept that night. The images burned into my mind, replaying over and over like a nightmare I couldn't escape. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Lisa's smile, the way she welcomed those men, the way she pretended everything was normal when she texted me. By morning, my anger had crystallized into something sharper. Determination. This wasn't just about confronting her. It was about making sure she paid for what she had done. I called my lawyer first thing. He didn't even hesitate before telling me, "Bring the footage. We'll make sure she gets exactly what she deserves." I booked the first available flight home. My hands shook as I held my phone, hovering over Lisa's contact. I wanted to call her, to demand answers, but no, she didn't deserve a warning. When I landed, I didn't go straight home. Instead, I met with my lawyer, laid out the footage, and watched his expression shift from mild curiosity to cold calculation. "You have everything you need," he said. "This isn't just a case of infidelity. This could be public humiliation, emotional distress. Hell, if you want to be ruthless, we could even push for a lawsuit." That thought tempted me, but I wasn't interested in dragging this through the courts. I wanted something immediate. So I went home. The house was quiet when I walked in, the air heavy with the scent of Lisa's perfume. She was in the kitchen, humming to herself as she poured coffee. When she saw me, her face lit up. "You're home early," she chirped, walking toward me with open arms. I stepped back. "Yeah, thought I'd surprise you." Something flickered in her eyes. Something nervous. "Is everything okay?" I pulled out my phone and played the footage. Her smile dropped. The color drained from her face. Where did you get that?" "I saw everything, Lisa." She reached for my arm, desperation in her touch. "Baby, I can explain." I yanked away. "Don't. Just don't." Her excuses didn't matter. Her tears didn't matter. The moment she made her choice, she shattered everything we had. I already spoke to a lawyer. I said, my voice ice cold. Pack your things. I want you out by the end of the day. She gasped, You're leaving me? Over a stupid mistake. A mistake? I laughed bitterly. 10 men, Lisa. 10. Do you even remember their names? Tears spilled down her cheeks. It didn't mean anything. It was just a game. I shook my head. Then you just lost. I walked out, slamming the door behind me. Lisa had made her choice that night, and now I was making mine. There was no going back. Twist of fate. The game wasn't over yet. I drove away without looking back. The weight on my chest was suffocating, but I kept telling myself I had done the right thing. Lisa had made her decision, and now she was facing the consequences. But the story didn't end there. A few days later, I received a message from an unknown number. You don't know the whole truth. Meet me if you want to understand what really happened. Attached was an address. I almost ignored it. Almost. But the nagging curiosity, the loose ends, the feeling that something still wasn't right, it all gnawed at me. So I went. The address led me to a dimly lit bar on the outskirts of town. I walked in, scanning the room, and that's when I saw him. One of them. He was sitting alone at a corner table, swirling a glass of whiskey. When he looked up and saw me, he smirked. Didn't think you'd show, he said, motioning for me to sit. I didn't. What the hell do you want? He sighed, setting down his drink. I just thought you deserved to know the truth. I already do. Do you? He chuckled darkly. Did Lisa ever tell you how this all started? I clenched my fists. I don't need to hear your excuses. He leaned forward, his voice dropping. Lisa didn't invite us. We were invited by someone else. A chill ran down my spine. What are you talking about? He pulled out his phone and showed me a message thread. The contact was listed as unknown, but the texts were clear. Lisa likes to have fun. Make sure you give her a night to remember. She won't stop you. She's too drunk to think straight. Just go along with it. I read the messages again, my pulse hammering. Who sent these? The man shrugged. No idea. But whoever it was, they wanted you to see it. A cold realization settled over me. Someone had set this up. Someone had made sure I saw everything. Someone had wanted to destroy my marriage. And the worst part? I had no idea who. I left the bar, my mind spinning. Lisa had still cheated. But now there was something bigger at play. A hidden hand pulling the strings. I had to find out who, because this wasn't just a betrayal. It was a setup, and the game wasn't over yet. The setup, unmasking the mastermind. I drove back home, my mind racing. Who would go to such lengths to destroy my marriage? An enemy? A jealous ex? Someone who hated Lisa? Or worse, someone she knew? I had to confront her. Even after everything, I needed to hear what she had to say. When I arrived, the house was dark. Lisa's car was still in the driveway, but she hadn't answered my calls. A strange feeling crept over me as I stepped inside. The living room was eerily silent. The same place where the betrayal had played out now felt lifeless. I found her sitting on the couch, staring at a bottle of wine she hadn't even opened. Her makeup was smudged from crying. When she saw me, she didn't get angry. She didn't beg. She just whispered, "You found out, didn't you?" I shut the door behind me. "Who sent those men to you, Lisa?" Her breath hitched. She looked away, gripping the armrest. "I don't know." "Don't lie to me." I snapped. "Someone set this up, and I need to know who." She wiped her eyes. "I swear I don't know, but I think I have an idea." My pulse quickened. "Who?" She hesitated, then finally whispered a name. "Ethan." My blood ran cold. Ethan was my best friend. I couldn't believe it. Ethan? That's impossible. He's been my friend since college. Why the hell would he do this? Lisa swallowed hard. Because he was in love with me, and I rejected him. The room spun. This couldn't be real. "You're lying," I muttered. She shook her head. "I never told you because I thought it didn't matter. Years ago, before we got married, Ethan told me he had feelings for me. I shut him down. I thought he moved on, but now I think he never did. I clenched my fists. If this was true, then Ethan had orchestrated the ultimate betrayal, not just to hurt me, but to destroy us. I stormed out, dialing his number. It rang once before going to voicemail. I wasn't going to let this slide. Ethan thought he had won, that he had played me, but he had just made the biggest mistake of his life, because now I was coming for him, and I wasn't playing games anymore. Revenge begins. The hunter becomes a hunted. I didn't go home. Not yet. Not until I had answers. Ethan had been my closest friend for years. I trusted him like a brother. If Lisa was right, if he had been the mastermind behind this, I wasn't just betrayed. I had been played. And I wasn't about to let him get away with it. I drove straight to his apartment, adrenaline pumping through my veins. His lights were on. He was home. Good. I banged on the door, my fists tight, my heart hammering. Seconds passed. Then the door creaked open, and there he was, Ethan, standing in his doorway, a beer in his hand, his expression annoyingly calm. Well, he smirked. Didn't expect to see you here, man. Thought you'd still be nursing your broken heart. I stepped forward, shoving him back into his apartment. The door slammed behind me. Cut the crap, Ethan. I know what you did. He raised an eyebrow. And what exactly did I do? I pulled out my phone and shoved the screen in his face. These messages. You set this up. You sent those guys to Lisa's party. You wanted me to see it. Now tell me why. Ethan stared at the screen for a long moment. Then, to my absolute shock, he laughed. Damn, he said, shaking his head. Took you long enough. Rage boiled inside me. I grabbed him by the collar and shoved him against the wall. You ruined my marriage. You ruined my life. Why, Ethan? Was it because you wanted Lisa for yourself? He scoffed. Lisa? Please. That was never the goal. My grip tightened. Then what was... His smirk faded. His eyes darkened. I wanted to ruin you. The words hit like a punch to the gut. Why? I growled. Ethan pushed me off and straightened his shirt. Because you took everything from me. What the hell are you talking about? He stepped closer, his voice a whisper now. You think you've had such a perfect life, don't you? The great job, the beautiful wife, the perfect home. Meanwhile, I was always in your shadow, always the best friend, the loser who never had what you had. But I was patient. He grinned. And now, I've destroyed you. You'll never look at Lisa the same way again. You'll never trust anyone again. And best of all, he leaned in. You'll never know what's real and what's not. My fists clenched so hard they shook. You think this is over? Ethan laughed again, that smug, infuriating smirk still on his face. Oh, buddy, this is just the beginning. I took a deep breath, forcing myself to step back. Beating the hell out of him would feel good. But it wouldn't be enough. No, I wasn't going to just hurt him. I was going to destroy him. Ethan thought he had won. But now, the real game was about to begin. And I never lose.